Boys, the plan is simple. We have here one of the most degenerate yet weirdly consistent FTKs I have ever seen in my life. This is Pendulum FTK, also known as Starving Venom FTK. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a background of the history of these cards, a little bit of a card-by-card discussion in the deck profile, and of course some of that sweet gameplay. So let's just dive straight into it.
What's going on, guys? It's Simo. So today I'm bringing to you a video discussing the brand new Pendulum Magician FTK.
In order to properly talk about this deck, I want to educate you guys about the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! And FTKs. FTK decks, or first turn kill decks, have always existed, even as far back as Spell Ruler, where cards like Painful Choice and Sangan / Witch of the Black Forest were responsible for Exodia being a tier 0 FTK deck due to an incorrect ruling about how the latter two cards could trigger. Even in 2002, judges were getting stuff wrong.
Found out in the tournament, if you have this up and your opponent activates Shadow Fusion to fuse while you have an X-Deck monster and send some Shadows from their deck to the graveyard, none of their Shadows trigger. Because it's when any monster is fusion summoned, well, you have Meltdown, none of your opponent's card effects can activate.
Although this ruling only lasted for about a week and for one event only, this event seared players' minds and gave them a vision of a future permanently stuck inside of their brain for every Yugist to ever come after them. This would permanently warp Yu-Gi-Oh! From being a game of back and forth to one of goofy bullshit nonsense. Since then, multiple FTKs have existed throughout Yu-Gi-Oh!'s history, and a vast majority of these revolved around burn, using card effects to bring your opponent's life points from 8,000 all the way to zilch. These sort of strategies would pop up here and there, such as in Magical Scientist FTK, a strategy of Magical Scientist and Catapult Turtle and infinitely launching monsters into your opponent's face until you burn them out. Danger Dark World FTK, a deck revolving around continually sending, re-adding, and re-summoning Grapha to be shot out of a Cannon Soldier with the help of a pre-eroded Firewall Dragon. And this, Starving Venom FTK, a deck built around Starving Venom's non-once per turn effect to copy the effect of a monster on the field or the graveyard, the prime target of choice being Lyrilusk Independent Nightingale. LAN has a couple of effects, but it has one relevant one particular to the FTK, being its last one. Once per turn, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to this card's level times 500. Now, if you're able to get LAN alongside two Supreme King Dragon Starving Venoms, you're able to use the non-once per turn effects of the Starving Venoms to copy the LAN, and because her burn effect isn't a once per turn, and because Starving Venom is a level 8, you're able to burn your opponent out for 8,000 total damage, 4,000 from each Starving Venom. Now, historically, this deck was never tier 0, but it was definitely a force to be reckoned with. One of the main issues was that it only had two ways to get LAN out: hard drawing instant fusion, or playing a couple of questionable bricks in the Supreme Gates from 0 to infinity in order to hard search out the instant fusion. However, because we live in the future, we have access to Predaplant, Verte, Anaconda, and because Instant Fusion has very nice type lineup as well as a really good naming convention, we're able to gain hard access to this entire FTK through 4 Dark Pendulum monsters and 2 Effect monsters in order to make the Predaplant, Verte, Anaconda and to supplement the materials for the Starving Venom, which if you've ever played against Pendulum Magicians, you'll know isn't as hard as it sounds. So, let's get into the card by card. I want you guys to know first and foremost that this list was straight up stolen from Triff Gaming. His channel is linked down below, as well as the video that basically procured this entire list. So, let's just get right into the news with one Dragon Pit Magician. This card is basically just an MST in your pen scale and helps you play going second. We've got 3 Performa Pal Pendulum Stork. This is usually just to help you gather more resources upon popping your scales on his pen summon and to do some nice chain blocking stuff. Very cool. We've got 3 Wisdom Eye because this card is broken. It basically sets up scales for you and basically just does everything you want it to do. 3 Skullcrobat Joker. This is a great normal summon, searchable off of the Pendulum Stork as well, and is able to really set up your plays. It is able to grab stuff like Harmonizing Magician, which is critical in order to be Pendulum summoned to get that last additional body onto the board for the FTK. It's also just, broken. We've got 1 Double Iris Magician. This card is sort of just here, but it does search Star Pendulum Graph, which can provide the additional name in hand if you really are missing it, and Time Pendulum in case you're not going for the FTK. We've got 2 Black Fang and 2 Purple Poison, just as, you know, additional names. We've got 3 Abyss Actor Curtain Raiser. This is basically just a free Dark Pendulum special summon, which is really important if you want to go for something like an Electromite before you even go for your Pen summon, which is really important in certain hands. We've got 1 Performer Pal Celestial Magician. I don't own this card, but it's not really relevant. You could just play, like, I don't know, Called By, I guess. It basically just serves as an additional search off of your Pendulum Sork, because one of them is going to be its Skullcrabat, and it serves as a follow-up play in case you're not able to go for the FTK. We've got 3 Oath Dragon, who basically just searches. Remember not to use it on the same turn you want to resolve a Pen Call. Astrograph Sorcerer is insane alongside Electromite, just absolutely broken. You're able to gather resources, get free bodies, just everything. 1 Instant Fusion. Did you know that you could just do the combo without the Verite if you just hard draw this? Crazy, I know. 3 Allure of Darkness, 3 Into the Void. You're running Into the Void instead of Upstart, not because I don't own it or because it's a budget option, but because Upstart Goblin heals your opponent by 1,000, which is over the damage threshold. I definitely didn't make this mistake when I was recording the first take of this video. 3 Pendulum Call. Again, remember not to use your Magician effects the same turn you want to resolve this. 3 Duelist Alliance, because this card is broken. 1 Star Pendulum Graph and 1 Time Pendulum Graph as our targets for double Iris Magician. Onto the extra deck, we've got Lyrilusk Independent Nightingale, our FTK card, alongside the 2 Supreme King Dragon Starving Venoms, our copiers of the effects. We've got the 1 Odd Eyes Vortex and the 1 Odd Eyes Absolute. You can make Absolute using 2 level 7s, and then you can link away the Absolute to go into something like a Selene or maybe like an Appaloosa, trigger the Absolute Engrave, and get the Vortex onto the board super duper easily. We're playing the 1 Time Star Magician because, I don't know, it's cool, I guess. I'm not going to pretend like I understand this deck. This is my first time playing Pen Mags. We've got 1 Borland Savage Dragon for a combo. 1 Supreme King Dark Dragon Rebellion. I don't know what this card does. All I know is that Trifle's playing it, so I'm going to play it too. We got 1 number 38 Hope Harbinger. If our FTK gets interrupted in some weird capacity, we could technically overlay 2 Starving Venoms to go into Hope Harbinger, which is really funny. You can just play any other rank 8. It doesn't really matter. 1 Zeus, because we're playing some Xyz monsters. 1 Electromite. This card is broken in Pen Mags especially. This card is better in Pen Mags than it is in Metal Foes. Like, I don't know how it's possible. 1 Verite, because we needed to send our Instant Fusion. 1 Selene in order for Link Climb plays. 1 Appaloosa in case we don't go for the OTK. And 1 Access Code in case we're going for an OTK instead of an FTK. So, let's get into the game. So this game is primarily just to show what this deck is capable of and how the general combo looks. Our hand is immaculate. We basically have every single card that we want to see in our opener, and especially a way to get to Electromite without committing our Pendulum Summon. We're going to use Curtain Raiser to special summon itself onto the board. We're going to use Skullcrabat's normal summon in order to add Pensork, and here's where we get drolled. Now, originally, if we didn't have basically Harmonizing Magician in hand, we would be screwed, but because we're better, we opened it. We're going to go into Electromite. We're going to use Electromite's effect in order to send Astrograph, and then use Electromite to pop our Star Pendulum Graph in order to bring back the Astrograph to hand and special summon it. We won't get this search because we're under Droll, but that doesn't really matter because guess what? We already drew the scales. We're going to scale to scale 8 and go for a Pen 3. We're going to get the 2 from extra deck to the Electromite zones, and the Harmonizing, which is the main priority. Harmonizing is going to be able to bring out that last monster that we need in order for the FTK to go off. We're going to bring out Purple Poison because it really doesn't matter which one. We just need a Dark Pendulum monster. We're going to go 2 of them away for the first Starving Venom, 2 of them for the second Starving Venom. They're going to be Contact Fused away, and we're going to go for a Link Summon of Verite Anaconda in order to send the Instant Fusion from deck and special summon out the only Lyrilusk Independent Nightingale. We're going to use Starving Venom 1 to copy the effect, Starving Venom 2 to copy the effect, Starving Venom 1 to use the effect to burn for 4,000, and Starving Venom 2 to burn for the last 4,000 and for game. Just absolutely disgusting. So what did we learn today, class? That FTKs are stupid and just as ridiculous as floodgates? Yeah, let's get into the pros and cons. 1, it's consistent. We really aren't playing any bricks here. It's really all just gas. Most hands are able to go for the FTK, and unless you're getting rocked, you've almost got nothing to worry about. 2, it can go for board building plays if you do get interrupted. You are still playing Pen Magicians. If you're getting interrupted beyond repair and you're not able to completely go for the entire Starving Venom FTK line, you could still just go for a standard pen board that will consist of a couple negates, which is good enough considering your opponent spent a couple of cards in their hand interrupting your plays. And 3, it's weirdly cheap. Most of the SRs and some of the URs come from the Pendulum structure deck, and most of the URs in the extra deck are just generic staples. Some stuff such as the Hope Harbinger and Celestial Magician you don't even technically need, and you're able to shave those down for more budget-friendly options. And the cons. 1, this deck is hard. We kind of got hard carried in that replay by opening, cracked, but if we didn't, I'm not sure I'd be able to actually ever navigate this deck properly without practice. Playing Pend FTK doesn't consist of just knowing how to push P, it actually requires knowing how to play Pendulum Magician, weirdly enough. 2, you hard lose to Nibiru. Unless your hand is broken and you're able to make Apollousa before you commit to the Starving Venom line, the Rock does end your plays 99% of the time. Fortunately, not everyone's main decking them, but if they are, then you basically might as well just hit the scoop button. And 3, do you really want to sacrifice what little humanity you have left to play Pendulum FTK? Disgusting. All in all, I hate this deck. I hate this deck and everything it represents, but holy shit is it broken. This deck is absolutely goofy in best of 1 formats. It's so consistent, and it's literally an FTK. Thank you guys for watching. I've been Stevie Blunder. Hit that subscribe button if you want to find moral redemption after crafting this list. And yeah, that's going to be it for me. See ya.